when you want to accomplish your goals, you've got to sometimes make those hard decisions.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
And welcome back to another Minisode. Dustin Harris hanging out with you in the podcast chair. I want to dovetail on last week's episode. We talked a little bit about diversity and what it takes to get appraisers into this profession. I will just give you the Cliff Notes version. Met a lot of people this last week at the Appraisal Valuation Expo who said, I don't listen to every one of your episodes, Dustin, but I listen to a lot of them. So if you did not listen to last week's episode, let me just give you the Reader's Digest version. It is this. Folks, the barrier to entry when it comes to appraisers coming into this profession has nothing to do with the number of appraisers that want to come into this profession. It has to do with the amount of mentors that want to bring them on. And the biggest way that we can get out of our own way and allow that to happen is for clients who are still requiring the mentor to be in the inspection with the trainee. Folks, why? Why? FHA, why? Non-AAPPVA, why? Others, why? I don't get it. I don't understand it. One of the panelists, and I have to take him to task on this, said, well, it's partially the state's problem because some states require that you do 50 inspections with them, or some states require you do so many hours with them. Folks, that's not the problem. That's not a barrier to entry. That's what most appraiser mentors are going to do anyway, if not more. 50 inspections? It might take more than that with some, right? Anyway, I digress. I want to talk today about goals, believe it or not, and why does this dovetail on what we talked about last week? Well, we will get there. We will get there. I will tell you this, folks. I have had a goal for the last 3 years. Running. Same goal for the last 3 years. It is simple. One goal for the year. To become location independent. What does that mean? Well, it means what it says. It means that I can work from anywhere. It means that I can be in my office in Idaho Falls, Idaho, and do just as much work and be just as successful as if I were on a beach in Costa Rica or Australia or England or you name it. It does not matter where I'm at. I can still accomplish my work. Now, I started with that goal in 2019, and I did not accomplish it. Actually, 2020, sorry. I started that goal in 2020, end of 2019. That's when I said it. And it was part of my vision for the year, and it did not happen. I got a long way toward it in 2020. I did. But I wasn't quite there. I focused my attention on clients that allow me to not have to be in the inspection. Now, I have trusted, trained, and supervised individuals that I trust to be in the inspection. That is key to getting to that goal. But it wasn't enough. COVID happened. I'm not going to blame my lack of getting to my goal on COVID, but it did affect things. I could have probably pivoted. I could have been a little bit more resourceful. I could have maybe stepped back and reassessed and said, okay, how do I still get to this goal? But let's face it, we were all busy. We were all overflowing with work. And I fell into the same trap that everybody else did. I took it, whether I was required to be in the inspection or not, I took it. But I kept working on my goal, and here's the key. I didn't give up on my goal because I didn't accomplish it in the year that I wanted to accomplish it. How many of us set goals for the year, and by February we failed, if you will, and we give them up for the rest of the year? Wouldn't it be okay to maybe not reach our goal perfectly by February and say, you know what, that's okay, I'm going to keep working on it? My goal was a yearly goal, was an annual goal, was a goal to, by the end of 2020, I wanted to be location independent, and I didn't make it. And I could have very easily said, well, I tried. Let's move on. I did not do that. I set the goal again for 2021. And in 2021, I did not reach it either. You all know that I sold my business in December of 2021. And that started me, by the way, Bill Johnson, I didn't lose my business. I didn't sell, and I'm not an employee of an AMC. He loves to tout those two things, that I lost my business, and I'm now an employee of an AMC. Neither are true. But nonetheless, I digress. I could have, at that point, said, you know what, my life's changed, my goals have changed, and that's okay, by the way. As a mentor, as a coach, I tell people all the time, if your goals have changed, if your life trajectory has changed, if your vision for what you want in the future has changed, it's okay to change your goals. It is. What's not okay is just to give up on your goals and say, well, you know, it was a great idea, but I guess I can't do it. That's easy to do, and many of us do it. It's a human nature thing to do, to give it the old college try, as my dad used to say, but then give up because, hey, I couldn't quite make it. Folks, I kept setting the goal because it was important to me. Now, let's back up for a second. Why is it important to me? Honestly, it's not even that I'll probably even use it that much. Let me repeat that. I'm trying to get to something that I may not even take advantage of very much. Why? My wife doesn't like to travel like I do. She likes to travel. We do our fair amount of traveling, but she likes to be home. I'm getting her there, right? I would love to, about January, say, sayonara, Idaho, I love you. I like to snowmobile, I like to ski, but I love it where it's warm, and maybe be gone for 3 months. That's not my wife yet. We're getting her there, right? So I may not even take advantage of it. When I go on vacation now, it's a week, 2 weeks, and I don't want to work during that 2 weeks anyway, and I was already kind of at that point. I want to be able to have, and here's the key, the freedom to be able to accomplish that goal. Meaning, if the opportunity arose and I could be gone for a month, I could be gone for 2 months, I could be gone for 3 months, I want the ability to be able to do so, to not have to shut down the office, to not have to suffer financially more than just the cost of the trip, but also in the lost work. So that's what I've been working toward for the last 3 years, 2.5 years. Folks, I finally accomplished it 2 weeks ago. I'm going to tell you in a moment how this relates to last week. But I'm telling you, folks, the empowerment it gives to, first of all, accomplish a lofty goal is amazing. And number two, to just know that I have that freedom now. I had an opportunity last week to be in Vegas for the Valuation Expo. It was great to get back. It's great to see many of you. Thank you for coming up and saying hi. Thanks for coming up and saying I've been a loyal listener for hundreds of episodes. It is very satisfying that people actually listen twice to this program. Thank you for that. But here's the thing, folks. My office suffered not at all while I was gone. I was busy from morning until late evening every single day I was at the expo. Did I need to do a few things for work? Yeah. But the key is a few things that I could quickly do on my phone. Maybe a phone call. I did no Zoom meetings while I was there, believe it or not. Mostly it was just text back and forth, Slack messages back and forth. I would say 4 or 5 a day on average, and they took on average 10, 15 seconds a day for each one. I finally am at the point that my office is self-sustaining. I'm finally at the point that I don't have to be in Idaho in order for us to make money. How did I do it? Again, last week we talked about diversity. And I said the power of getting people into this profession is to get out of the way and allow the appraiser to make money by training, supervising, trusting that their trainees or others that they send out to do inspections will actually notice the crack in the foundation. There was somebody at the valuation, I wish I could remember who it was, because it was hilarious. It was laugh out loud funny. He was talking about this very thing, and he said, some people are complaining. They say, well, how can I trust that my trainee is going to notice the crack in the foundation or the mold underneath the kitchen sink? And he says, there's a simple answer to that. Take them out, do inspections, find mold under the sink, and show them what it looks like. Point out cracks in foundations, show them what to look for. Duh. Boy, head slapper on that one, right? In other words, I'm a firm believer in not just grabbing someone off the street and throwing them out in the field. How silly would that be? That's no different than the argument people are making against hybrids, that they send out Uber drivers to go do the inspection. Really? By the way, there's a lot of smart Uber drivers out there. I've met a few of them lately. But the idea of sending someone else out to gather the data, folks, you realize that inspections are tier 2 level activities. Let that sink in. Remember the doctor's office analogy. Tier 3 is the doctor. Tier 3 is the appraiser. Why are appraisers doing inspections in houses? I know there's a lot of old school guys out there saying, well, I'm the only one that can do it right. Well, then you're a pretty poor teacher. Anyway, I digress. Let me go back to the positivity of this mini-sode, and that is accomplishing goals. Folks, it feels great after 2.5 years to finally get to the point that I don't have to be in Idaho in order for my company, for my business to make money. How did I do it? Folks, I finally had to cut some apron strings that were very, very difficult to cut. A couple of weeks ago, I sat down and I said, okay, what is it really that's keeping me from accomplishing my goal? And it was really a couple of clients, but 2 main sources. You ready? I mentioned them last week. FHA and VA. Folks, you know how I feel about VA. I've been an advocate for VA over the years. They are an A client for me. They're not an A+. And here's why. The one thing that's keeping them from being an A+ for me. I love Tidewater. I love their process. I love the separation between me and the client. I love that they're not real picky about a lot of things. They send us a lot of work. They pay us well. Very customary and reasonable, I believe. I love them. Now, there's a couple of things I guess I should say. There's one county that we cover that I really wish that we could split the county. It's a different MLS in the southern part of the county. It's a different system. It's 3.5 hours one way to get to the southern part of that county for us. And in VA, if you accept a county, you accept the whole county. So that's one check mark I don't like. There's another one out there though as well. And that is that about 20% of the time in our area, and I know it's much more in some of your other areas. I've talked to some of you in California and others where you say, really? Like 80% of the time you don't have to go to the property? It's like the opposite for us. Like 80% of the time we do have to go to the property. It's the AAPP program. I don't remember what it stands for, Appraiser Assisted something program. But the idea that you can send out a trusted trainee or another appraiser to go out and do the inspection is powerful. But folks, it was that 20% of the time that kept me here in Idaho. If I got 10 appraisals for VA, 2 of them I had to physically be in the property. 8 of them, yes, I could send out some, and that's what held me on, right? Well, 8 of them I can send somebody else out. But guess what? The 2 is still keeping me from being location independent. It's keeping me from my goal. And when it comes to FHA, all of them have to be in all of the inspections for FHA. Why FHA? Come on, guys. Really? Fannie Mae doesn't require it. Freddie Mac, why are you doing this? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me. I had to make a hard decision a couple of weeks ago, folks. And sometimes to get to those goals, you've got to do that. I emailed FHA. I emailed VA. I got put on hold with VA for a year. Well, almost a year. And they put a freeze on my account. That took some bravery. That took some swallowing a lot of fear and moving forward. But with FHA, they won't put me on a freeze. You're either on the list or you're not. So I emailed them and I said, please remove me for the FHA list. I want to focus on my business. And some people thought I was crazy. What are you doing? What? You're just going to give up that business that FHA sends? Yeah, folks. Why? Because my goal is more important to me than the financial reward on the other side. And now what's going to happen? Well, folks, I'm not going to give up that work. I'm not going to sit back and not have that work come in. So what do you do now? You pivot. And now I'm going to focus on clients that do allow me to send out trainees. I've still got a trainee. I'm still an active appraiser. Well, yeah, that's another story for another time. I waited till the last minute to get my CE, so we're working on that. I'm still an active appraiser. I just don't want to have, and I'm fine going out and doing an inspection if I'm here. I don't want to have to be here. Does that make sense? That's where I want to be. That's my goal. And that's what I need to work on. Folks, what is the lesson of the day? It's not to become location independent. It's not to call up FHA and get off their list. It's not to call up VA and get off their list if you're on VA. That's not the point at all. What is your goal? What is your vision for the future? Where do you see yourself in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? What does your vision story look like? How can I as a coach help you to get to that vision story? I would love to meet with you one-on-one in one of our mastermind meetings as a member of the All-Star team. You name it. There's many, many approaches, and I would love to be a part of that for you. But folks, the lesson of the day is this. Sometimes you've got to do the hard thing, and sometimes you've got to swallow your pride, and sometimes you've got to take a bit of a risk. I'll be honest with you. Even after I made the decision to get off the VA and the FHA, and by the way, I've mentioned those, called them out by name, but other clients as well, I had to put on hold. We basically have been keeping track over the last couple of years as to who requires appraisers to go out and who does not. And I basically, a couple of weeks ago, said, all right, all of these clients that are requiring me to be in the property, we're done. We're not doing any more work for them. I'm off their list. That included FHA, that included VA, and it included some big companies out there as well. Of course, the shout out to those places, you're going to see more and more appraisers doing this, I think. I talked to a lot of you at the Valuation Expo, those of you who want to be other places, who want the freedom to travel, who want to put Starlink on the top of your motorhome and travel around the country and still be able to make a living. I think you're going to see more and more of that in the future. I had a great talk with a very highly respected appraiser. I won't call him out by name because I don't have permission to share. But in the hallway on the last day, about the last hour of the Valuation Expo, we sat there and talked about that very thing. That there's more and more people attracted to this industry because of the changes that are happening, because of the technology and the different things and the options that are out there that are not traditional 1004s with the appraiser walking through the property. But again, I digress. That's not the purpose of today's mini-sode, which is now becoming a maxi-sode. I'm going a little long today. But folks, I want to make sure that we get this. And the idea is when you want to accomplish your goals, you've got to sometimes make those hard decisions. I would be thrilled to help you to do that. Please reach out to me, the coach at theappraisercoach.com. Thanks for joining me, and we'll catch you next week.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.